Hidden Killers Podcast.
All this weekend, we are taking a look back at a case in review. The charges against Bryan Kohberger in the murder of the 4 Idaho college students. Taking a listen to some of the most compelling conversations and discussions that we've had thus far. Let's listen to another one.
This is the examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski.
We are talking with defense attorney Bob Murdaugh, his podcast, Defense Diaries. I want to ask you what is going on, in your opinion, in the Kohberger case surrounding his parents going to an investigative grand jury, which is different than a regular grand jury. I'm going to make that distinction. And testifying. The initial reporting on this was that it was connected to another murder case connected to Dana Smithers, a missing woman who was then found dead a couple years back in the exact same county where the Kohbergers resided. What are we looking at here? It's very confusing and, of course, easy to go, oh, my gosh, here's another murder he's connected to. Is that really what we're seeing here?
So the Stroud, I forget what the full name it is, like Community Area Police Department or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They put out another post yesterday to just completely blow that whole theory away. Like it went a step further than there's been no evidence. Like that was the first thing, that there was no evidence connecting him. They came out and said they're this grand jury, which is, again, it's not an indicting grand jury. No. They have 2 types. It's an investigative grand jury. Okay. So it's a different thing. Okay. So they're not trying to indict them on a crime. They're investigating something.
Sure.
And there's been, and they flat out said that it has nothing to do with that particular victim. Nothing. Okay, so the more likely scenario is at the behest, because Idaho does not have jurisdiction over them. Idaho probably asked them to convene an investigative grand jury to get some questions asked of them, is what I'm guessing. Relating to the case is what my best guess is. Nothing
to do with the Smithers case, but everything to do with the Kohberger case in Idaho, correct?
How do you know? Alice, my wife's back there saying that she doesn't think the Pennsylvania grand jury would do the Idaho a solid and ask them questions. I think they might. I don't know. Because it's like Allison saying, well, sure, Pennsylvania wouldn't be investigating a crime that potentially didn't happen in their jurisdiction, but maybe they're asking about things that happened back in Pennsylvania after the drive, or on the way to Pennsylvania, or when they're in the car, or did he make any admissions in the, there's a lot of things that could have happened.
Yeah.
When they are in Pennsylvania that relate to the Idaho case.
Because a crime, because they have to be doing the investigation or talking to them under the pretense that this happened within the county in Pennsylvania.
Right.
But
there was the one thing that came look, it came out, I think, after the return on warrant that Kohberger had been sitting down in the kitchen in the early morning hours with gloves on, individually bagging items.
Would that be concealing evidence? Could they be questioning about that?
That's what I'm saying. That's what they would be. It's obviously related to the Idaho case, but it's obviously things that happened in Pennsylvania where they would have jurisdiction. So I'm imagining that they're inquiring into those types of things.
Okay. That was before I even heard the Dana Smithers part of things. That's where I went with it as well. I was thinking, well, there would have been crimes that had taken place in Pennsylvania in connection with Idaho if he was destroying evidence, which we know he likely was from what we've heard so far, of putting things in the neighbor's garbage can, cleaning out the back of the car with bleach, and the plastic bags and the gloves. All of that would be consistent then with trying to cover up something, correct?
100%.
Yeah,
absolutely. No question about it. And it's like that concept that he may have waited just so, because it's like, in order to believe that he hadn't done any cleaning of the vehicle prior to, would suggest that he already thought that he was on the radar back when he was at Pullman, which I don't know that he thought that he was. Because, like, if I'm driving through a state and I get pulled over by stateies on 2 separate occasions for the same BS where they're saying that I'm following too closely, and I've murdered 4 people, I'm thinking that they're on to me. Okay. Like, cause I'm not an idiot. So, like this concept that happens, like, on the way back to home, back to his parents' house, and that he's not aware that they're on to him. Just, it doesn't play for me. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that, like, maybe he's like, man, they're really on me now, so I really need to clean this car. Yeah. Like, maybe that's his mindset. And maybe he's like of the mindset, well, they're going to try to pick garbage, because once it hits the curb on the curtilage, it's free game. Like anybody can go through it. You have no expectation of privacy in it at that point, and I mean, he does know enough about the collection of evidence from his criminal justice degree and his, I'm trying to get the advanced degree that he would have known that that's the case with respect to that. So, I could see him being super cautious about not leaving any of his DNA so that they could pick it, which it appears that he was successful since they had to use Dad's. Yeah. When they got that profile, and my question has always been, why didn't either Pullman or Idaho, but it would have been Pullman, why didn't they try to pull like touch DNA off like the door handle of his car? Like when they figured out back in late November that it was his car, why weren't they going there, and just trying to, because he's not wiping down his door handle on his car every time he gets in and out. Sure. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the same DNA that's on the sheath, which is touch DNA, which isn't the greatest. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want biological material DNA always. Yeah. It's just preferable to touch DNA because you're going to get a much stronger profile off biological material than you will off touch. So, I don't know, man. It's interesting. It is, but like I just think that whole grand jury, which may have been convened anyway, because like they do this investigative grand juries and they handle tons of cases with them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like people that are brought in who are witnesses aren't necessarily targets. They're just people that they're trying to elicit information from. So, and I have a feeling that that's what it is with his folks. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling it just has to do with, everything that was going on at that house after he got home. Sure. They want to know what's up because they're clearly not talking to law enforcement. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So subpoenaing them in is a way, and they can't necessarily, unless they're, what would be interesting to know, which in theory we'll never know, is whether or not they're taking the fifth and refusing to answer questions. Sure. Because they're afraid that it incriminates themselves in terms of whether it's destruction of evidence or aiding, abetting in any way. Like, I mean, there's various things that they could nail them with. So, I mean, that's really the more interesting question to me is what they're doing or what they're saying in there, because that's very telling. Sure. Because, I mean, clearly the family has to know about the story. The whole world knew about the story. Well, it obviously came out that his sister, who knows if that's true or not? Sure. The Dateline episode was not my jam, dude. I'll just tell you that right now. So, I'm not into the speculation game. It's cool to come up with theories, but that's different than like pretending something's a fact. Exactly. It's like, and I'm not going to do that. And I always try to encourage my fellow creators not to, as enticing as it is, not to do it either, sure, because it's a bad look.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Bob Murdaugh, defense attorney, his podcast, Defense Diaries, definitely worth checking out. All right. Please go do that. Hey, if you like this podcast and you'd like to help us out, become a supporter. Yeah, you can get all of our episodes ad-free and all of our podcasts here in the True Crime Today family ad-free as well. Yes, all of them. You get access to all of those ad-free when you sign up through Apple Podcasts and become a premium subscriber. You can do it yearly. You can do it monthly. You get a big discount if you do it for the year. Anyway, check that out on Apple Podcasts and enjoy binging away on the podcast. We love putting it out for you every single day. My name's Tony Brueski. Stay with us.